Okay, so analytics and AI. Oh, so this is where we get to the pyramid, right? So machine learning, right? It's been around forever, and still so few customers take advantage of it because it's been hard. You needed to have a subject matter expert that knew the process. You need to have a data scientist that work on cleaning the data and making sure you had the right data. Then you need to have a developer to build the model or the Python code for, like, the likelihood that any of our customers have all three of those people available at any given time, like, it's been low, so people don't invest in it. So what we've been investing in is standardized models that we think help a variety of our customers. And so we call those advisory analytics. So you're going to see an example in the next gen user experience of how we're using Gen AI to do, and I think it's Gen AI, combination of Gen and agentic AI to do alarm analysis. We built a machine learning model to help you with alarm analysis, to get to root cause, to understand patterns. And if this pattern is occurring, you're going to have this problem, right? This future problem, right? So we can take the data out of iFix, we can take the data out of Historian, the alarm data, and we can watch for patterns and then alert people that you're in the middle of a pattern, here's what you should do, right? So, because the people can't recognize the pattern. The patterns happen randomly. The technology can recognize the pattern. And so we have a standard operations hub screen that lets you see the patterns that have been recognized and are any of them sort of in process. And then you can take action, right? So here's, you know, the current alarm pattern. Here's the top ones that have occurred over a time period. And so you can be looking for what are the patterns that are happening frequently. And then you can take action with maintenance people to go solve what's causing that, right? Because ultimately, we don't want operators to have to deal with alarms. And if they have to deal with alarms, we only want them to deal with really the root cause alarms. So that's part of what we're doing here is we can both understand what are the root causes of cascades of alarms, and when we see those patterns, we can also alert people that they're in the middle of a pattern and that they should take action. Yeah, we'll just skip through that. Soft sensors. So there's a soft sensor. You may have data that has to be inferred from other data that is really valuable to you. You don't actually have a real world sensor that can create this value. So that's what soft sensors are, is sort of building up a sensor, the equivalent of a sensor that doesn't exist based on other data that you're collecting. And we have a pre-built model that would allow you to pipe in some sensor streams, and it'll tell you, is there correlations that you ought to be tracking and effectively create a smart sensor. Right? And then the model's there. So you don't have to have the person that knows how to do that. You don't have to have the Python programmer or the person that built that model. Like, if these models are of value, they exist for you in cSense. Now, you may say, I don't want to buy cSense. We're going to talk about that at the end when we talk about SCADA Ultimate. It effectively comes for free. As long as you have tags that represent these outputs, you can deploy it. We'll go through the demo. Model predictive control, something that a lot of people have thought was outside what they wanted, outside their capability, outside the tools. They didn't want to invest in some giant tool. It basically comes for free. It's part of the, so here's here's manipulated variables, controlled variables. So a whole model-based predictive control can take a whole series of inputs and you can build that model so that you get multivariate control. Your PLC can't do that, typically. There might be a couple PLCs out there that have MPC capabilities. You have this today in the Prophecy platform. If you're a SCADA Ultimate customer, you're not paying any more for it. It's part of what you have in your subscription. So these are techniques that are available to you in your operations effectively at no cost other than the learning and maybe a bit of deployment, maybe spending some time with a system integrator saying, hey, let's try this, right? but they can deliver huge benefits in terms of how your process is controlled, the information that you're giving to your operator to take action in the plant. You know, so I'm not going to walk through that, but you know, so look, if you've got the SCADA, you've got the data, and the historian, you've got the data that can be now fed into the model predictive control algorithms, which will give you what your set points should be on a variety of set point variables. So it's effectively a real-time model running based on all those inputs and what it's learned about your process with the data that you've collected. Again, you got to train it. It's got to learn about your process. So if you have the data stored in historian, you've got a training data set, right? Otherwise, you have to turn it on, and you might have to wait 30 days before you're starting to get valid outputs, right? Okay, so the bit of data, or now we're going to talk briefly on sort of augmenting the operators, and you're going to see more of this later. So just a slide. There's a built-in demo, but since we're doing the demo, right? But here, this is back to the notion of how does AI today, tomorrow, next year really provide new insights, right? So that's this intelligent data insights, answering questions that can't be answered today. What's the data architecture that needs to exist? And then where's this going to go? And so we're with the 26 releases of Historian with our MES. You know, those are the first releases where we have built-in AI-based capabilities with an AI studio where you can ask, and you're going to see more of that. It will come late this year as we introduce for SCADA customers. It'll come later this year, and you'll see the demo of that this afternoon, right? And so, you know, this is just an example, right? How is the performance of Loop 1, right? You know, so it's gone and it's done this calculation in the background. It's grabbed a whole bunch of data. It's done an analysis, right? And it's giving you a simple summary that any operator can understand. So that's the notion here of, I can't make sense of this. I don't know what to do. Oh. Okay, the average error rate is consistently this across 2 different dates. Here's the performance. It's relatively stable. There's kind of nothing to do. Okay, I couldn't have told that, right? It might have said, I've got a change in performance. Also at the same time, ambient temperature has changed, or something else may have changed, right? So correlations that we can't see in this sea of data turning into information that people can take action on. That is the power of what's coming. That's what we're going to deliver to you, both standardized models that we get requests for or we see as are important to a wide variety of customers, and the tooling, the framework, where you can write your own. You can have a system integrator who is your trusted partner work with you to build a bespoke analytic for your use case, or a bespoke agent to go take action that you no longer want somebody to take action, or provide insights to somebody so they can take action. So it's a brand new set of tools that we see delivering to you that are going to enable you that next level of optimization.